Hi guys, welcome to the latest episode of Cricket Draft Insight. Lots of things to talk about. I'm going to start by talking about my county championship squad. I know it's early. I have given some significant hints as to what the squad's going to look like come the opening day of the county championship, which I bought a ticket for. So hopefully it's not raining and I'll be there on the 5th of April at Headingley. My squad at the moment, so it's looking like it's something like this, and then I'll explain. Josh Bohannon, Anna Donald, Kieran Carlson, Rob Keogh, Ryan Higgins, Harry Finch, Tom Scriven, Ben Code, Jack White, Ethan Bamber, and Sam Cook. So at one point I spoke about one player per team, but I really am keen on Bamber. He really impressed me last season. Obviously, I've got Higgins. Really keen to get Bamber in. And I was going to go for Jack White, and I thought I'd moved away from Rob Keogh. But suddenly he's been appealing to me again. I mentioned Oliver Price, and I guess there's a comparison there. But the thing about Higgins, Bamber, White, Keogh, they're all going to be in Division 2. And I would say they're Division 1 players, or maybe they're somewhere in the middle. Anna Donald is another one. I'm obviously very excited about him. In Division 2, the best players will thrive in Division 1. But if you can identify those really good players in Division 2, they're surely capable of being really shrewd selections. I mentioned Harry Finch. I would have just thought could be a cheapish one. There's no competition for the wicketkeeper role at Kent. He's actually keeping wicket. Signed a new contract. There's a real opportunity for him to go on. But there are one or two other players I like. I've mentioned Ali Orr, and the other obvious one is Tom Laws, which I'll speak about in a minute. So maybe Donald, who I assume will be listed as a wicketkeeper, but is only going to keep wicket in an emergency. Maybe he can go in the wicketkeeper role. And then the movement of the all-rounders, I'm assuming Carlson is a batter, but we'll find out. Tom Laws is one I was really keen on. But I am just a bit concerned. Surrey, we should have seen the re-signing of Kemar Roach coming. Worrell, Jamie Overton, Jordan Clark, Sam Curran, Atkinson. I mean, Laws deserves to play. And of course, we'll get to the opening day and we might find there's just an injury of some kind. But that's the other thing. I think there's going to be a lot of squad management. Cricket Draft has said it's minus 75 points for a paid transfer. So 2 free transfers, then minus 75 points. And I like my kind of under the radar England crew. They're playing every week. And I actually think that's going to be really important because I think England, obviously even normally with test series, but with the T20 World Cup, I just think there's the opportunity that England players play a game to sit out a game. Play a game to sit out a game. So if you're having to do that transfer, and then there's also an enforced transfer because somebody's got injured or a surprise somebody doesn't play, conditions, whatever, risk of stating the obvious, you really need to pick 11 players who are going to be playing. Kieran Carlson, people have mentioned this before, Kieran Carlson is the captain. Sam Cook, we expect to play anyway, but he's now vice-captain. So 1 or 2 reasons to, hopefully confirm, famous last words, that those guys will start. But like I say, I think, I'm looking at having a really strong bowling attack. Some all-rounders have done well with the ball, but can do more with the bat. And then the batters, I just really hope they thrive. If they get out, they're out, aren't they? But I'm optimistic. Bohannon's got a good record. Can continue to maintain that sort of standard. Donald can score quickly. Carlson score quickly, contribute the ball. Keogh didn't have an excellent season last season, but he finished with a fantastic knock after I dropped him against Essex. Surely he does well with Division 2, maybe in Division 2 picks up some wickets as well. Higgins really consistent with the bat, takes wickets as well. Scriven performs with the ball, maybe does a bit more with the bat. Harry Finch scores some runs, affects some dismissals. If I miss someone out, Bamber, White, Code, Cook, just taking wickets for fun. So, we'll see what the budget allows. We'll see what changes. It's still about 45 days away, isn't it? But that's sort of what I'm looking at for the composition of my county championship side. when it comes to the T20 Blast, I hinted at sort of a competition clash. I can't remember the exact date, but I think it's the World Cup really clashes with the T20 Blast. So it's going to be interesting to see, obviously, which players are missing. I'm looking at the all-rounder category. I spoke in a previous video about how Ryan Higgins, I thought, kicked on in T20s. I'm still a big fan of Jordan Thompson. I just think he hits those hard, flat sixes. Though he might be a little expensive, he'll bowl at the death and he'll take wickets. Bo Webster is one I really like, did well for me in the One Day Cup. Benny Howell, I'm a huge fan. I've posted about Benny Howell, and I know he's worked on his power hitting. Some of these innings I've watched, just highlights in Bangladesh. He's bowling well, taking wickets, scoring runs, and he's one that some people might slightly forgotten about because he was injured last season, then he came in late. But if he's fit and raring to go off the back of this form, he could be really good. Ben Green is the one who did well last year. I mentioned him, didn't pick him. Dried up a little, but sort of comparable to Howell. They're both, I've said before, I'm a big fan of taking pace off in T20s, and they are both sort of slow, non-spin bowlers. And then, of course, Daniel Sams. Again, I cannot make that mistake of not picking Daniel Sams. Sams, Howell, Higgins, Thompson, but then Webster, who was the other one I just said? So, getting them all in. Bowlers, I love Tom Smith, Freddie Heldreich, another left-arm spinner, who, I say dried up. I thought he was slightly mismanaged last season. I'm just wondering whether he's going to start. His batting, I really need to nail T20 Blast batting this year. But hey, getting ahead of myself. Pepper's obviously one I really like because he's a wicket-keeper option too. But we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. On the subject of the T20 World Cup, I've been sort of looking at a few players, particularly the associate nations. And obviously you'll find some players, so Sishan Maksud at Oman, is it Gerhard Erasmus at Namibia? Like sensational stats. But of course, they come primarily from playing against other associate nations. Now in the groups at the World Cup, there might be one or two other weaker teams, but there's obviously test playing nations. It's going to be really interesting to see how people compose their sides for the World Cup games. And on the subject of the World Cup, T20 Blast, the County Championship, Cricket Draft, they mentioned about a career ranking. Obviously, there's like 6 competitions with the women's this year. So they mentioned a career ranking. I'm not quite sure if that is like just points as opposed to like divided by competitions. I'm thinking it's maybe just total points, which hopefully should motivate people to want to enter, every game, to enter a team, because they'll want that ranking to be as high as possible. I wondered if Cricket Draft would do like an overall winner, like a summer winner. Whoever gets the most points across all the summer competitions gets some sort of prize. It's going to be really exciting. I bought just a 4-day membership. I might go to more. But I bought like a 4-day membership for Yorkshire, but I think I misunderstood it because I thought I could maybe just, whenever I want, go to different county championship games. But I think it seemed to be one county championship game, one T20 Blast game, one Charlotte Edwards Cup, one Rachael Heyhoe-Flint Trophy. Unfortunately, I happened to have booked some holiday that aligned with like the women's game, so fortunately it worked out well, unless it rains, of course. And I'll see if anybody wants to go with me. But yeah. Just wanted to have a quick chat. Lots to talk about, but just firmly in my mind, my team. I've been thinking about my team all winter, just desperate to pick it, and just like I said, set on about 8 or 9, and just in an hour in between 1 or 2. But it's got to be. I want to do well, but obviously, it's got to feel right. And those players I'm talking about, some of those guys are really calling to me. Really feels like, my team. And I'm optimistic. Cricket Draft, I think it was about 8,500 played the county championship game. I said before, I think maybe 10,000. I think I've seen comments from people like newish. I think 12,000, 15,000. Wouldn't it be great? I think we could get a lot of people playing. I think a lot of people are discovering the platform. And the more the merrier. And I was wondering about just sort of saying what my target's going to be. I want to finish top 250 in county championship. I finished 104th, was it, in the One Day Cup last year? And it's a bit awkward because I'm only on holiday during that period. I like to back that up, but as more and more people play, you know, it's going to be a tough ask. And I know one of you guys mentioned, well, top 10% who would finish. So say we've got 15,000 people playing the county championship game. You know, 1,500. I mean, look, even 3,000 is a perfectly respectable finish. But you know, I've given a bit of thought to this. I'd like to finish quite high. Didn't do very well in T20 Blast last year, so hope to fight back. But yeah, hope you're all looking forward to the games. Let me know. Like, have you thought about your squad yet? Have you switched off? Are you doing something else? Who's your number one pick? Who is crying out to you? You know, in each competition, who are you going to pick? You know me, Ryan Higgins, County Championship, Jordan Thompson, T20 Blast, Tom Smith as well. Jack Taylor was one I really enjoyed in the One Day Cup last year. I'm keeping my women. I might have slightly mentioned, but my women's selections, I'm keeping them under wraps at the moment. Don't want to give too much away because I think that's an opportunity for me to do very well. But anyway, thank you very much for watching once again. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. How's that?